Hello, everybody. This is your main man, Keith, here from Keith Plays PS4 927. Happy Thursday evening to all my awesome viewers on this awesome channel. I know Wildcard Weekend has just begun for this this Toronto Huskies franchise. We are 16-0, and we clinched the first round bye. So I just wanted to show you all the NFL standings from this season. So the Toronto Huskies are 16-0 on the year. The Chicago Bears are 14-2. Both Toronto and Chicago are having a first round bye in their conferences respectively. The Las Vegas Raiders are at a 12-4 record. The Indianapolis Colts are at a 12-4. Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, Tennessee Titans, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Arizona Cardinals are all 11-5, along with the Cleveland Browns. And the Miami Dolphins, they were 9-6-1 on the year. The Carolina Panthers are 9-7. The Los Angeles Rams are 9-7, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 9-7 as well. The Cincinnati Bengals are 8-8 on the year. The New York Giants, the Denver Broncos, the Baltimore Ravens are 8-8. The Detroit Lions, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Minnesota Vikings are all 7-9. The Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers, along with the Washington football team, are all 6-10. Green Bay Packers, New England Patriots, Jacksonville Jaguars even were 5-11. The Buffalo Bills were 3-2-1. They were tied with the Miami Dolphins in that one game. The Houston Texans, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Los Angeles Chargers all ended up 3-13 on the year. And the New Orleans Saints ended up 2-14. So, that being said, I'll show you the schedule playoffs. So, for Sunday, the Miami Dolphins will be traveling to Las Vegas, Nevada to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. On Sunday at 4:30 p.m., this is a triple header. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be traveling to Philadelphia, PA to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Tennessee Titans will be traveling to Indianapolis, Indiana to take on the Colts, AFC South rivals. I don't know why they say 11 o'clock at night. But I live in Pennsylvania, so Pennsylvania follows Eastern Standard Time. I bet they couldn't do it that late. So it's supposed to be 8:15 or 8:30. The Los Angeles Rams traveling to Arizona. Also NFC West rivals there. The Browns and Steelers, a turnpike rivalry, as they'll be in Pittsburgh. And the Dallas Cowboys will be traveling to North Carolina to take on the Carolina Panthers. Alright, statistics-wise, Toronto had total offensive yards, 6,024 yards, 4,454 passing yards, 1,570 rushing yards, 55.6 points per game, passing touchdown 63 on the year, and 83 rushing touchdowns, which is equivalent to 86 offensive touchdowns and 154 first downs. So let's see if we have the most the most total yards gained, we have the most. Defensive, total yards allowed, we allowed 2,216. Passing yards allowed, 1,952. Points allowed, we had the least amount of points allowed in this regular season with just 93. And our average opponent, the opponent's average score was either about 10, maybe even less than 20. QB sacks, I believe we have the most, and it's 73. Fumble recoveries, 48, and interceptions, we were at 18. So that makes our defense really good. So third down conversions, we had 27. Third down attempts, we were 42. Third down percentage, 64. Fourth down conversions, we only had 4 and 10 attempts, so that's 40%. 2-point conversions, we did really well. A 24 out of 25, that's a 96. Red zone efficiency, Dallas had 49 attempts, so let's see where Toronto had it. So, oh, there we are. Offensive red zone trips, 53. 40 offensive touchdowns, 1 field goal all this season. Touchdowns allowed, we had 5. So penalties wise, we didn't even have that much committed. And it was only 45 yards there. And turnovers, we got the turnover difference by 63. We threw 3 INTs. No fumbles lost, however. Takeaways, there were 66, 18 defensive interceptions, and 48 fumble recoveries. We'll show you the defensive touchdowns, how many touchdowns our defense scored this season. Our top players for week 2, our AFC Defensive Player of the Week was Preston Smith. He had 2 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumble recoveries. And for week 4, our AFC Offensive Player of the game was Andy Dalton, 10 for 13, 327 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 carry, and 8 yards there. AFC Defensive Player of the Week, we had one. It was Jamal Adams, 10 tackles, 2 sacks, 5 forced fumbles there. And our AFC Offensive Player of the Week was AJ Green, 3 receptions, 157 yards, and 3 touchdowns that game. Trevor Greensburg and AJ Green both had the AFC Player of the Week on week 9. So AJ Green for our offense had 4 receptions, 238 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Trevor Greensburg had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles there. And we also have the same thing too. So for week 11, 2 weeks later. So AJ Green had 4 receptions, 169 yards, and 3 touchdowns. JJ Watt had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. Jamal Adams had 5 tackles, 1 sack, and 2 forced fumbles for AFC Defensive Player of the Week for week 12. Week 13, 29 for 43 for Andy Dalton, 316 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 sack, 3 carries, and 15 rush yards for our offense. Kenny Clark had 4 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles for our AFC Defensive Player of the Week. And week 17, AJ Green had 6 receptions, 205 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So we'll check out our offensive and defensive stats. I'm going to start off with the defense first. So our most sacks in a single season for our team was Cameron Jordan with 13.5, Jamal Adams with 12 on the year, JJ Watt with 12 on the year, Trevor Greensburg with 9.5 on the year despite being a rookie. 1 interception though that caught my eye. Preston Smith had 7 on the year, CJ Mosley 5.5, Kenny Clark with 4.5, Eric Harris and Demario Davis both had 2 sacks on the year. Jason McCourty, Robert Quinn, Trevor Williams, and Malcolm Jenkins, along with Tim Jernigan, all had sacks this season. So let's see how many interceptions our team had. So 8, 3, that's 11, plus 2 is 13, plus 2 is 15, 16, 17, 18. With Trevor Williams having the most, the Penn State product. 160 return yards, that's the most. Now let's see how many defensive touchdowns. Out of 18 interceptions, 4 of them were returned for touchdowns. Jason McCourty had 1 defensive touchdown on the year. CJ Mosley had 4 defensive touchdowns along with Preston Smith. Demario Davis had 4 defensive touchdowns, and Cameron Jordan had 1 defensive touchdown, along with JJ Watt had 2 defensive touchdowns. So, I was wrong the last episode if I said we only had 1 safety on the year. We really had 3. 2 from Cameron Jordan and 1 from JJ Watt. So, let's take a look at our punt return. So, punt return attempts all year. AJ Green with 15 of them, 511 yards with 3 touchdowns. And Joe Hayden had 14, 579 yards and 4 touchdowns there. Kick returns. Important one to see. Joe Hayden, 26 kick returns, 1,154 return yards with 5 touchdowns on the day. Nelson Aguilar, 5 kickoff returns, 222 yards and a touchdown. And let's check out our passing. Andy Dalton had one INT all this season, and he had 2,200 passing yards. Joe Flacco had at least over almost 1,100 yards. Cam Newton had 680, and Drew Brees had at least 525 yards. So passing touchdowns wise, Andy Dalton led it with 28, Joe Flacco with 15, Cam Newton with 11, and Drew Brees with 9. So let's see how many touchdowns. Let's see how many sacks they got sacked. So Flacco got sacked 3 times. Newton and Brees both got 4. And then Dalton got sacked 7 times. So out of all the quarterbacks, Joe Flacco has played every single game as quarterback. He did not start all of them, though. 16. Andy Dalton had 11. Cam Newton had 8 games. And then Drew Brees, they both played 8 games. So Chris Thompson had 45 carries, 481 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So let's see how many touchdowns. Frank Gore had 7 touchdowns on the year. Le'Veon Bell had 5. TJ Yeldon had 2. Drew Brees, Joe Flacco, and Andy Dalton all had 1. So let's see our offensive. So receptions-wise, him, AJ Green, and Gronk both are the only receivers to have over 1,000 in a season for this Toronto Huskies team. That being said, AJ Green has the most touchdowns with 22, 18 for Gronkowski. Corey Davis had 6, Nelson Aguilar had 6, Mohamed Sanu Sr. had 5, Matt Anderson had 3, Le'Veon Bell had 1 receiving touchdown, and we already did all that. So, that being said, let's end it here, and we'll see you guys in the next episode when we're in divisional round.